Hey, Disney cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me. I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today, oh my gosh, do we have a good one for you? Like
We do.
socks knocked off. You guys have you're gonna be blown away. I can promise you right now. But we are talking all things Disney Cruise Line's brand new mega ship, the Disney Adventure. Itineraries were announced, so we're going to talk through where we're sailing from, where we're going, kind of, and how to the best way to really take advantage of Singapore. So as you're coming in, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from so that we can say hi. But Crissi, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to be here. Rebecca knows I have been excited about DCL Adventure for a long time. I was excited about the ship before it was the DCL Adventure. Okay. The ship has a really cool history, being built by somebody else, then bought by the government, then bought again by Disney Cruise. It's such a cool ship history. It's so cool. But anyway, I'm Crissi O'Kane and I specialize in Disney Cruise Line. I absolutely love Disney Cruise Line, but even more, I love mega ships. So I am finally getting that combination of my two favorites, which is just so exciting. Disney Cruise Line having its first mega ship it's like all of my hopes and dreams come true. I have been putting it on the comment card since my very first Disney cruise ages ago. Like I don't need to date myself. It was a long time ago. That I want a bigger ship and I'm getting it. I'm really excited. I also absolutely love cruising as more than just the Caribbean. Cruising is truly a way to see the world. And this is such a unique opportunity that I'm blown away by a lot of the things on board. All of the IP, the sheer size is incredible. The itineraries are incredible when you really think about it and apply yourself. They're incredible. The way that they've laid them out. So I'm absolutely thrilled and so excited about DCL Adventure.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, we are going to get into everything you need to know before booking opens, which is going to be happening soon.
Very
But if
soon.
you are ready to book your Disney cruise, whether it's on the Adventure or any of the ships or any ships, really,
Mhm.
Chrissy's probably sailed on them all. If you are ready, reach out to her. That's linked to her page on the DCL community site, and her planning services are 100% free for you to utilize. So let her be that resource in your planning so that you can focus on enjoying all things cruising. And it looks like we have some friends from Pennsylvania and New York. Somebody from Ireland. You
Oh,
are very late
hello.
watching. Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. So as you guys are coming in, please say hello. But let's go ahead and dive into all things adventure. We're going to start with kind of an
Yes.
overview. Right?
Yes. So I presented a little bit of information on the adventure about a month ago when we kind of got the first like kind of concept art photos released and things. So I want to do a quick recap before we get into the itineraries that were shared today/yesterday, depending on where you're located. This is a brand new ship from Disney Cruise Line. Like I said, it's totally different, right? Huge new ship design, tons of new room types, new onboard venues, and a new home port. This is the ship that is sailing out of Singapore, and it is year round out of Singapore. I've seen some questions about that in our groups and a couple other communities that I'm in, wondering where it's going because the itineraries that were released were not released forever. But it's not going anywhere. It's staying in Singapore, which is very exciting. And imagine like it has more dining options than ever before, more stateroom types than ever before, more entertainment. Gosh, the entertainment list, okay, let's just be real. Most of the rest of the Disney fleet, all of the entertainment options fit on one screen. You don't have to scroll. Adventure, you got to scroll like a lot of scrolling in order to see all the entertainment. So really impressive the way that Disney has taken this ship and really made it their own and really made it a huge addition to the Disney fleet. I'm super excited.
Yes. And we already have the question of when it's coming to Port Canaveral. It's staying in Singapore right now. So that is what we know.
Yes,
So
this ship, it is a 5-year contract with Singapore. So at least for 5 years, it will be in Singapore.
yes. Oh, and I'm so excited. I've heard so many amazing things about Singapore, which I know we're going to continue to get into.
But yeah, so you should be stoked, right? So it's not coming to the United States for at least 5 years. And to be honest, the amount of time and energy that it would take to get this particular ship from Singapore to anywhere in the U.S., forget Florida, even to a West Coast U.S., would be substantial. So it is much more likely that a ship similar to this build would be introduced in the United States. So, maybe one of the upcoming ships may have characteristics. I don't know that. Believe me, I talk with Disney sales executives a lot, and none of them even know that answer yet. But that would be more likely. So this is probably more of a learning ground for future Disney Cruise Line ships. The likelihood of this particular ship, Adventure, ever coming to the United States is not happening. Very small. But that's okay, because Singapore is incredible. There are countless activities which we're going to get into. That's really the heart of this presentation, is everything to do in Singapore. But it is just such an incredible city, and it's also a really great transition point into the rest of Asia. Also, for my European clients and my Aussie clients, this is not an unreasonable flight for y'all. I'm really excited chatting through it. A lot of my Australia clients are choosing to book this ship with their placeholder from a previous sailing. So that was really neat that, Disney just came to Australia last year, and now you've already got neat opportunities as well. So super cool. But for the United States citizens, which is what I've kind of geared this presentation to, that's just because that's where Rebecca and I would be traveling from. It's not completely crazy town. Okay. It seems that way. It's a 20-hour flight if you do the direct option out of New York. That is a day, and Singapore is a day ahead. So you're looking at like a 2-day flight time issue. But then you get there and you have so much to do right there, and you have so many options of ways to explore the world afterward if you'd like. So it's awesome the way these sailing dates work out. Oh, they could not have done it better.
Yes, I am so excited. There's so much strategy that goes into building all of these things out. And I think we've learned from Disney Cruise Line, they don't do things that don't wow us.
Correct.
So this is just, I was going to say that something that we won't speak of cruise wise, but this is just going to be perfect. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. And yes, so like I mentioned before, right? So you could, and what the kind of the itinerary that I put together is a Singapore sea then land itinerary, but you could also look at flying outside of Singapore. There are so many flights to Kuala Lumpur or to Bangkok and several different cities throughout Japan that you could explore. So you could easily do an incredible multi-destination Asia travel plan using Singapore's airport, which the little dots in my picture, those are flights specifically on Singapore Airlines. That's just one carrier. There are countless carriers flying out of Changi Airport. So you can truly get anywhere from Singapore once you're there. So
love that. And we're also asking, do you have to work with a Singapore travel agent? No,
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Crissi has clients all around the world. So
I do.
Find a travel agent that works for you.
Yeah. So find a travel agent that works for you. Rebecca and I actually did a video quite a while ago about picking your travel agent, because I do think that it's all about relationship. And while I specialize in international Disney cruising and megaship cruising, which is up until now not a Disney specialty, but it is now. So other agents specialize in different things. And so you can absolutely work with an agent from a different country than you live in. I have clients from all over the globe. But some things to know is that if you do book through me specifically, I only work in the United States booking engine. So all of my bookings are paid in US dollars. And for my clients that are not from the US, it's just important to make sure that you have a card that can be processed as USD and doesn't have a foreign transaction fee. Or you can buy Disney gift cards and use those, and the currency will adjust.
Oh my gosh, yes, such a good point. And speaking of international travel, are there any unique considerations one needs to make before booking a cruise if you're flying to Singapore?
Yeah, so as of right now, Singapore does not require an additional visa or documentation for citizens of the United States. You do need a passport. It does need to be valid for 6 months past your return travel home. And that is true. That is true if you were traveling as a tourist. It's a little bit different if you're applying with, for a work permit or things like that. But if you were going for less than 30 days as a tourist from the United States, right at this point of time, because I know this video will be on YouTube forever. So, it's always important to check through us.state.gov for all travel requirements wherever you're traveling to from the United States. It's always updated. But it's important to check those entry requirements. That as of right now, all you need is a valid United States passport, valid at least 6 months past your your return travel date.
Yes. And keep that in mind for your Disney cruises here, from Port Canaveral or Port Everglades too. Check that passport date before you sail. It is so important.
All
I'm
right.
so
So
excited for
here's
this.
the big announcement. I am so excited. So we got the itineraries today. And now Disney Cruise Line had given us some heads up that they were going to be 3 and 4 night voyages. And they are not actually making stops. There are no ports of call throughout. It's just a 3 night or a 4 night, all leaving and returning to Singapore. So you have all magical days at sea in between. What they didn't share, like nobody learned until this morning in the United States and yesterday morning in Singapore, is that there's going to be 2 5-night sailings over the holidays, which is exciting, kind of.
Yes.
I think it's exciting with a disclaimer for United States citizens, or travelers from the United States. For residents of Singapore and also for European countries or Australia where you have a much shorter flight, oh, this is epic for you guys. I would book both of them. I would be there for 10 days. I might do
That
that.
would be perfect.
I might do that. I might change my mind. You'll see what itinerary I'm currently looking at in my future slide, but now I'm debating doing both holiday. Okay. Anyway, so these are phenomenal. Now, what we are used to in the United States, not just Disney Cruise Line, almost every cruise line that are, of the major lines that offer ships that are alternating 3 and 4 nights, they are doing the 3 night Friday to Monday and the 4 night Monday to Friday. Singapore has adjusted that to make the 3 night Monday to Thursday and the 4 nights Thursday to Monday. So the 4 night is the one that's over the weekend, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It also works very well for United States travelers, right? Because this is what you have to realize is that if you are sailing out on Thursday, that means that you need to arrive on Wednesday, which means you need to leave the United States on Monday, because almost all flights out of the United States that are either direct or have a short, like a reasonable, not, less than 1 day layover, are going to leave in the evening, and it's going to be an overnight flight. So you're going to leave Monday evening, most likely. But at that point, it is already Tuesday morning in Singapore. And so when you arrive, it will now be Wednesday morning. So you have to kind of remember, because of the time difference and how far ahead Singapore is, that your flight time is 20 hours if you fly direct from JFK. It's shorter if you fly out of either Seattle or LAX or San Francisco. Your West Coast friends have, a much more reasonable flight than us East Coasters over here. And you don't have to fly direct. There are awesome options. I love Turkish Airlines' options. I did a whole presentation about that in our video from last month, with a great kind of stopover option, tours of Istanbul. So cool. But the direct flight, there is one I did see a question that yes, there is direct flight out of New York. Right now, Singapore Airlines only posts their calendar a year in advance. So it only goes through, it's actually not quite a year. It only goes through the end of October right now. But they have direct flights every day out of JFK. So sometimes 2 a day, sometimes just 1 a day, but every day direct out of JFK. That is our only East Coast direct option if you are looking for a direct flight from the East Coast. But it's a great option. Fantastic airline, fantastic product, fantastic price point. So for that Thursday to Monday 4-night sailing, you would fly out on Monday, you would arrive Wednesday morning, sail Thursday to Monday, and then I personally would stay in Singapore until Friday and then fly back over the weekend. So I'm missing 2 weeks of work for a 4-night cruise, which sounds cray-cray, but I'm also getting 4 days exploring one of the coolest cities on earth. So cool. So that is what I personally am looking at. You could also make the 3-night itineraries work with something similar, but you're probably, if you're on a traditional Monday through Friday work week, you're probably not missing any less work in order to make that happen. So I think you should do the 4-night, and that still gives you 4 days to, after your cruise, to explore Singapore, plus a full day on land in Singapore to kind of reacclimate. And I'll talk a little bit about what I would do on that reacclimation. Is that a word? It is now.
It is. Yes. Yeah, I love that.
So what I would do on that day. So the sailings that I would avoid, to be honest, I'm probably going to be avoiding this maiden voyage. I think this is going to be a big draw from the Singapore market itself. And to me, being on a maiden voyage, I've been on several on all different cruise lines. It's amazing. It's fun, but I'd personally like them to work out any kinks first.
Mhm.
And then I'll sail very shortly after.
Yeah.
So I am looking at the Thanksgiving voyage. We love cruising over Thanksgiving, and we love being international over Thanksgiving. It just gives a whole new appreciation to a holiday all about being thankful and all about appreciating different cultures.
Love
And then I'm
that.
also looking at the Valentine's Day sailing because there's one of those. But I'm not
Right.
looking at the holiday sailings because you could do the actual Christmas sailing, but if that's the 22nd to the 27th. But if you did the 27th to January 1st, you would actually skip Christmas because you would fly on the 24th, which is already the 25th in Singapore, and then you would
Got
land on the
it.
26th. So that is something to keep in mind if you are traveling from the United
Yes.
States looking to do that cruise on December 27th.
That is such a good thing to consider. See, this is another reason that having a travel agent is so important because I would have not even thought of that when I was booking. And where was it? Oh, Taylor was asking when are they announcing the ports that these are stopping at?
Yeah, so that has already been announced. They are not stopping at any port. So these are purely magical days at sea, leaving Singapore Marina Bay and coming back to Singapore Marina Bay Cruise Port upon its return.
Yes. And then Leah or Lee is asking, do we have to be worried about motion sickness over there?
Oh, so that's such a great question. I am so glad you asked. Absolutely not. The bigger the ship, the less the movement. Now, there is not a ship anywhere near this size in the Disney fleet at this time, but there are ships very close to the size among other fleets. Royal Caribbean has them also, and most people compare the ship to Royal Caribbean ships, but actually a closer fit is the MSC World Europa, which is already sailing, and World America, which is coming to the United States in April. So quick plug for MSC and your favorite travel agent that also books Royal Caribbean and MSC. But
Yes.
so the bigger the ship, truly, the less you feel it moving. This ship, honestly, especially with the fact that it's staying in Singapore, it has no pressure to be anywhere at a certain time. So it is probably
Yeah.
going to be moving very slowly. It is probably
Yes.
going to stay within sight range of the Singapore Flyer wheel and the main Marina Bay Sands, probably always. Because why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I would not be worried about motion sickness at all. The only
yeah.
spot you would worry about motion sickness would be on the roller coaster on board or the spinny ride,
Like,
the Ant-Man one. Be worried
yeah.
about it on that ride.
Yeah, such a good point. Yeah, those spinning rides always get me. And I'm just thinking about that joke that one of the comedians on board makes about the Disney ships just being on like a track in the
Hmm.
Bahamas, not really
Yeah,
sailing. So
yeah.
that this feels like it aligns with that very, very well.
Very much. All right, so here's my top pick date. Although now I'm kind of considering doing both holiday sailings, but I just don't think I could convince my husband to miss 10 days of work plus the travel time. So, anyway, I think that travelers from the United States would benefit most from this sailing in February for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love Valentine's Day on board Disney Cruise Line or any cruise line? I've done it twice. It's lovely. But um, February is also like, depending on where you live in the United States, it's a pretty miserable time weather-wise here. Guess what? It's warm and balmy, humid, yes, but also quite warm and lovely in Singapore, right? So let's head over to Singapore for February. And with it being a little bit further out, you should kind of like the initial big rush of crowds should have kind of resolved. Plus, it is not in conflict with any of the like kind of traditional Singapore holidays, which Singapore is a really interesting city state. So it has a bunch of different cultures that So they'll be celebrating Diwali later on. Chinese New Year will have already happened. So you're not really going in any during any like kind of public school holidays during this time. So I think this is an awesome date for United States travelers to visit somewhere totally new and special.
Love
And if
that.
it was me, I would leave JFK on February 9th, late at night. That's when all they're usually, if there's two flights, there's an 8 p.m. and a 10:30. And if there's one flight, it's just the 10:30. And then I would arrive in Singapore February 11th, early in the morning. I would have a full day to relax. And then after my sailing, I would fly home on February 20th, spending the 16th through the 19th exploring. So this would make me and my husband miss 2 weeks of work. However, I can work from anywhere. He's the one that's actually missing work.
Yes.
And then
Love it.
it would give me the full day to relax, and I would probably stay at Marina Bay Sands Hotel right there by the ship and have an amazing, luxurious day in my luxury hotel. Or I would stay at the JW across and be able to see the Marriott instead and see Marina Bay Sands while staying
Yeah.
at the Marriott. That's also an option. There's tons of hotels right there, though.
Yes. And if you are wondering what the heck to do in Singapore, we have got you
Oh,
covered,
we've
and
got you
that's
covered.
coming
Don't
up.
worry. Don't worry.
But
I got you covered.
we do have another question. How's the weather there? What would you
Yeah.
compare it
So
to climate-wise?
comparing it to climate wise, you know what? It's not entirely that far off from Florida as far as humidity. It's even more humid than Florida. I'm trying to be nice, but it's extremely humid, and it's extremely hot. But a lot of activities you'll see in my slides are going to occur in the evenings and night times during the summertime, especially. You'll see so many night festivals and things. Um, and then during the daytime, you're looking at 80s and 90s during the daytime.
Got it. Good to know. Yeah, that was an awesome question. I did not think about that one either. But let's dive
All right,
into.
are you guys
Yeah,
ready?
I'm so excited for this.
So I made this kind of plan. It's 4 days. However, this day, this Marina Bay area, this could also be your acclimation day. If you're somebody that will get off your flight and be like, we're ready to go, this is the same area. This is literally where the cruise ship is. You can see the cruise ship from all of these activities. It's very small. So you can do all of these activities. I'm going to go through my activity suggestions. I do also provide all of my clients with suggested dining options near their suggested activities. So you'll see that listed
Ooh.
in here. You'll see what restaurants I recommend to go to and all of that jazz. And also, a lot of these activities are either free, or when you work with an agent, I can bundle them into like a Singapore City Pass with admission into a bunch of different activities throughout. So there's just so many cool things to do. And I made this kind of like pretend itinerary for a pretend family with like a fairly like active and animal interested kids. There's a lot of animal activities in Singapore, great zoos, great aquariums. But I also included some cultural and historical stuff as well. It's really a balance, but I really love to plan out for my clients really based on your family and what your interested are. So this is just one option. There are countless activities. Like if you think Orlando is a destination port, think again. Singapore has way more going on. So this is going to be kind of staying in the Marina Bay area. If you look at hotels, consider staying near Marina Bay Sands. Marina Bay Sands is like the most famous hotel in Singapore, probably one of the most famous hotels in all of the world. But there are countless hotels in that general area right there that are just as luxurious. And you would actually have the view of Marina Bay Sands instead of being in it and not being able to see it. Or you can stay in the Clark Quay area, which I never say correctly. But these are both going to be extremely convenient areas to kind of have as your home base using Singapore's Mass Rapid Transit, which is their public transportation, which is super easy to use, super safe. So anyway, so we would, in the late morning, head out to the Garden by the Bay, which is this top picture. Explore the flower dome, the cloud forest. Kids will absolutely love this. And then lunch, there's countless restaurants over here, or you can head to Satay by the Bay, which is like a more casual, like a food court area. And then in the afternoon, head up to the top of Marina Bay Sands for panoramic view of the cities. This is like the hotel everybody sees in all of the Singapore pictures with the infinity pool overlooking the water. It's stunning, right?
Yes.
Great family photos up there. There's actually a museum at the top of the hotel up there that's all about art and science. Really cool.
Ooh.
And there's always going to be seasonal exhibitions happening in there as well, which is super cool. And then in the evening, we're actually going to go back down to this. It's hard to kind of understand, but the bottom picture is actually like is the other side of the top picture, kind of the other side of these floral gardens, the water side,
Ooh.
to see it at night. And there's usually a nightly, like a light and water show each night at Marina Bay Sands, which is just super cool. And then I made a dinner suggestion. You can either do like some local food, like satay and fried rice at one of the local food hawker stations, or you could dine at a more upscale restaurant, which I've listed as well. So this
Oh
is
my
kind of the
God.
Marina Bay area, which is right by where the port is. And it's, got a bunch of kind of hotel-y types and museums all in one spot.
Oh, this is amazing. If you're sitting there like trying to take notes and memorize this, this is a reason that you reach out to Crissi and have her help you, because she can do exactly this for your
Exactly.
family,
Mhm.
for if you're traveling with your friends, with in-laws, whoever. She can customize this specifically for you. And again, her planning services are free, and
Absolutely.
she's got contacts. She can help you with what you need.
Yeah. So then I did the second day in the Sentosa Island area. And this really has kind of several different attractions, but I would say two main ones, which is the SCA Aquarium. This is the largest aquarium in the world, in the whole world,
Ooh,
bigger than SeaWorld. So big.
wow.
Okay. Largest aquarium in the world. Tons of marine life. It's a huge hit with kids. And then it also has Universal Studios Singapore is in this area as well. And really with this park, it's not quite the same as Universal, like Orlando or even Hollywood. You really only need about like 5 to 6 hours here to do the entire thing. But most of my clients, especially clients with like younger kids, are in there for like 3 to 4 hours. It's also a lot less expensive than the theme parks in the United States.
Okay.
And fun fact, Universal Singapore has the bitter, maybe less friendly Megatron. If you've ever watched videos of Megatron roasting guests, it's in Singapore. And
Ooh,
if you're ever just looking for like
interesting.
something to do on TikTok or Instagram, just search Megatron roasting, because Singapore has the funny Megatron. He's allowed to talk. He's allowed to say whatever he wants.
That's
And
hilarious.
he is so funny. So that's where I would be for like all 4 hours. But lots of rides that are not here in the United States, like Battlestar Galactica and things. So really neat stuff over there. And then in the evening, there is an evening show right by the beach. That's kind of like water and laser and fireworks. Super easy, free. Just free night shows. Okay, this is stuff that it's like
Amazing.
only in Singapore. Not true. Other areas do have free night stuff too, but Singapore's got it all, man. And then I did list a few options for, you could do a local Sentosa restaurant like the Beach Club, or I love doing dinner inside the Vivacity Mall. It's so neat to go inside a mall somewhere else. Okay,
Yeah,
malls all over the world are all different, so it's always like, you see so many different locals shopping, tourist shopping. So I do usually suggest doing dinner inside a mall one time for my clients that are traveling into anywhere in Asia, because their malls are like nothing here in the United States.
that is awesome. Okay, something I didn't know that was going to be on my bucket list that now
Yeah.
is on my bucket list. And
Absolutely.
where was it? Tracy's asking, are there any other cruise lines that sail from Singapore?
Absolutely. So Royal Caribbean has Anthem of the Seas in Singapore. Celebrity does a lot of sailings that are one way. So they'll do like Singapore to Hong Kong, and then they'll do Hong Kong back to Singapore. Princess has ships in Singapore almost year round, I believe. And so, but Royal has Anthem of the Seas over there, and then they also have a smaller ship over there as well. But that one's doing kind of longer itineraries, multi-stop. Anthem is doing more localized East Asia itineraries. But yeah, hit me up, and I'll help you with kind of finding the right cruise line to sail on, for you, depending on what you're looking for. But there are many options sailing out of Singapore.
Yeah, so I was going to say you can do back to back on different cruise lines. How
Absolutely.
fun.
And so then day 3 of my 4 day plan really focuses on the wildlife and nature exploration. And again, this is not necessarily a recommendation for everyone, but what I find is that generally families need this day to like kind of be able for the parents to take it easy, and the kids are really entertained. So you're going to start your day at the Singapore Zoo, which is an enormous zoo, and it's very much open and like outdoors. So like parents can just kind of like park bench it up, and the kids can see everything, and you can see your kids. It's kind of like being at a park with exhibits. It's like there's a bunch of playgrounds throughout. Like it's a very like play oriented zoo. Kids love this.
Mm.
There's great restaurants. There's some regular cafes inside the zoo, like theme parkish style kind of places. But there's a local restaurant, the Amang restaurant, which is tons of like local dishes, which is really cool. And then right next to the zoo is the river safari. And I couldn't find a great picture of this. I don't have any of my own, unfortunately. I couldn't find a great one that's not copyrighted, and I'm like very sensitive about that. But just Google River Safari and you'll see it. This is like taking the jungle cruise at Disney World, and it comes to life. Like you are in your own little river boat going through live animal habitats. It's super awesome. And you can do it during the evening, or you could even do it at night, because this is the first nocturnal zoo. So you can see creatures that are active after dark, and it is totally a different experience. And again, I have 2 restaurants in that area for dinner as well. You could also, kind of, you remember that each night you're heading back into your hotel. We're not switching hotels. Singapore is not that big. You don't need to do that. So there's also, if you're staying in that Marina Bay Sands area, there's only about 8 million restaurants to choose from there.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that sounds like an amazing day 3, and then on to day 4.
And then day 4 is our kind of like shopping and culture, and then departure morning. So departure is kind of like the next day, but I'm kind of putting it in day 4 because it all did happen to fit on one slide. So this is like day 4.5. But really spending the day visiting some of the local areas. Like I mentioned, Singapore kind of has 3 different cultures. And there's local Singapore peoples, and then there are the Chinese culture and the Indian culture. So we can visit Chinatown, and we can also visit Little India. Lots of different look. Like you could do this. You could do this completely food oriented. You could do this trying to just visit like local temples, really famous historic temples, Buddha Tooth Relic Temple in Chinatown, and I will never say this correctly, but the Sri Veeramallikamalaman Temple, which is probably one of the most famous temples in the world. It's stunning. And it has beautiful views there as well, of the temple, and also great views of the city from the temple. Lots to do, lots of authentic food in this area as well. And you're still not that far. Like it's super close to the Marina Bay Sands area where you're staying. So in the evening, I would totally finish your Singapore trip with a nighttime ride on the Singapore Flyer, which is their enormous Ferris wheel, but it goes very slow. So it's more of an observation wheel than a Ferris wheel, to kind of finish up with those nighttime views. And then in the morning, you're going to head to the airport. And I know you're thinking, Crissi, like, why is heading to the airport like, a big deal? And that's because I believe that's my bonus slide. Maybe.
Oh,
Is it?
bonus slide.
Bonus slide. Oh, the airport. So Changi Airport is truly a destination in itself. There are truly more activities inside the airport that can fit on one slide. These are just the highlights, but like the activities never end. There's this top one is the jewel of Changi Airport, and it includes this rain vortex, which is I spelled vortex wrong. Apologies. That's a Crissi typo. That's not like them trying to be trendy.
That is okay.
But this is the world's largest indoor waterfall. But then there's also shops and dining all in this area, and it's just this stunning indoor park. There's free movies, both out, kind of like it's inside, but it kind of looks like a patio seating like this one displayed. But there's also actual movie theaters that you walk in and have a dark theater as well to see free movies. This bottom right one is the Butterfly Garden, again, totally free. And then the left is the Sunflower Garden, which is actually outdoors and just truly a great kind of way to get fresh air, see the planes come in, and also see the sunflowers. And then I included this ramen because that is one of the most popular restaurants in Changi Airport, is the ramen location. But there are more restaurants inside this airport than all 3 of my local malls combined. And we've got some good malls here in Southwest Virginia. So and that was just a fun fact that I learned about Roanoke, that we could get more malls, more restaurants in our malls if we want to compete with Singapore's airport. So that's kind of my suggested plan for this pretend family of 4. Or this 4-day plan for this pretend family. It doesn't matter what size your family is. You could do this plan. But I really love kind of working with clients about helping them find what activities are fit for you. If your kiddos are super into athletics, there's actually going to be the youth Special Olympics are coming to Singapore. We could design your trip around that. Yeah. I think I've mentioned before in the group, I'm a huge Formula One fan. So while I am looking to go sooner, probably either Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving, I will also be trying to do another adventure sailing in time with the Formula One Grand Prix in Singapore of 2026. That's going to be October 2026.
Fun. Oh my gosh.
So there's so much to do in Singapore as far as traveling events that we can also coordinate your sailing around too. And we can look at, combining with Adventures by Disney too, to kind of do one of their Asia itineraries, but that would involve another flight out of Singapore afterward.
Yes, or even going to some of the parks that are over,
Absolutely.
Hong Kong Disney?
Hong Kong Disneyland, and there's also Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea. And then there's also Shanghai Disneyland, which is probably not quite as convenient as Hong Kong and Tokyo. They're just, as far as flights, there are so many flights into Hong Kong. You could even cruise Singapore to Hong Kong if you wanted to on a different line. On Celebrity or Princess have that option. But yeah, totally. You could make it a parks trip and a cruise if you wanted to. You could make it a Singapore only trip. You could do a back-to-back. I know a lot of people were expecting me to say that's the solution when the itineraries are short, is to just stay on the ship. And I do see some benefits, right? We didn't really talk about the ship so much in this. I really wanted to focus on how to make this trip work, because that's the question that I think I serve my clients best as an advisor, is how do we, if our flight is 20 hours, how do we make a 3-day cruise or a 4-day cruise make sense? experience. And the truth is you don't, you make this a portion of your vacation. So I really
Yeah.
wanted to stress about that. But the ship itself, it is worth doing a back-to-back or doing multiple sailings if the flight isn't as cumbersome for you if you're closer. The ship has 6 different main dining options, and each guest will rotate through 3 of them. They're kind of in pairings. They're like 2 and 2 and 2, and you'll kind of have one from each group that you're assigned to. So next time you board, you can do the other 3, right? So much entertainment, totally worth doing a second time. If I was any ship I'd be on for 7 days and knock it off, it would be this one. But I think that you'd be missing out on so much in Singapore that doing a back-to-back would maybe not be my first recommendation for the best use of your time. If you're going to travel all the way to Singapore, you should see some of Singapore too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so easy. I think a lot of people get used to flying into Florida the day before and then leaving right from the cruise. But when you're investing that much time to get there, make the experience more than just the cruise.
Absolutely.
Although the ship is going to be incredible. And then there was another question somewhere on here. Oh, I love this one. I've been using Duolingo, have a streak going for over 100 days. What language do I need to add for this travel? I love that.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked as well. So actually, you are good without Duolingo for most cases. So the primary language of Singapore is English.
Oh, good to
But
know.
like I mentioned, it is a multicultural city. So there is some Mandarin. There are the Indian population kind of has its own dialect, and then some of the locals will speak what they call Singlish, which is like kind of again like their own little dialect, but it's still understandable by most Americans and Europeans as well. But in Singapore, predominant language will be English.
Good to know. And
But still,
this
congratulations on your 100-day, no matter what
I
language you're
know.
learning.
I
Like,
know.
so great.
Incredible, incredible, so rewarding. When do itineraries open?
So itineraries are open to view now, and I'm so glad that we brought that up because I totally skipped over the price point. So itineraries are available to view now, so you can see all of the different dates for each length, all the 3 nights, all the 4 nights, and they are posted through April 2nd, I believe, is the last date that they go to.
Yeah.
And booking them opens on December 10th for general population or general public, and then as early as December 4th based on your Castaway Club status. Right now, the pricing, so April 2nd, I believe, that's the last date is that of that 3-night. And the next set of dates will be included in the general inventory release for all ships, which, Rebecca, do you realize that the next release date is going to contain itineraries for 8 ships?
That is
Isn't that crazy?
insane.
Crazy.
Disney Cruise Line just growing up right before our very
Yeah.
eyes. Oh my
So,
God.
Rebecca, if you can actually skip to that slide that has my favorite itinerary, because that did have the starting pricing on it.
Yes.
So you can see here, this is starting price point per category for 2 guests, which is my family's sailing size at the time. But and what's really important to note, this is what everybody can see for every time that we're in this position where we have the itineraries, but booking hasn't begun yet. Even on, the Magic and the Wonder, this is what it looks like. This is all the information that they give until actual booking dates open. So as your preferred advisor, if you book with me, I can start to give you full and actual stateroom pricing on Pearl booking date, even if you are not Pearl. I can't book it for you until your Castaway Club date or the general public booking date. But I can actually come and pick a specific room for you and tell you the price point of that specific room for your family. And we'll have that ready to go to book immediately when your booking window opens. And not all advisors are able to do that. Not all of them have the Pearl credentials. So it's something to make sure that you are mindful of when choosing an advisor. And the reason that these price points are, like I say, that they're just sample pricing and just starting, is that this is the starting price point per category. And on this ship in particular, there is a lot of variability within each category. This is the first of the Disney Cruise Line fleet to feature interior concierge rooms. So the concierge price point, that starting price point is for a concierge, for an interior concierge room for 2. It is not for the 2-bedroom funnel suite. Promise.
No. Could you imagine? Oh.
And then those verandas, that is a really important distinction here, is that this is the first of the Disney Cruise Line fleet to feature non-ocean view verandas. So remember that the verandas that face Imagination Garden or Discovery Reef are still veranda category rooms. And most likely they will be priced lower than ocean view verandas. They have their own booking category, and these will most likely be priced lower if we're comparing it to every other cruise line that offers something like this. It's possible that they could also already, other cruise lines that are this big, start with a guarantee option right away. It's not like a revenue lever that they pull later on. So it's also possible this could be guarantee price point where you don't actually get to pick your room, which could be very attractive to the Asian market, where it's like, that part of it is not part of the equation. Also, this ship, remember, we're not looking for incredible views. We're not looking for, we don't need to be on a specific side of the ship for nighttime entertainment. Like, we just want to be on it. So again, it would not surprise me if these are actually guarantee room pricing, with the ship being this enormous. That would help a lot to be able to take those guarantee bookings. So, and again, like other cruise lines with ships of this size have that guarantee option right away. It's not something that they choose to do close to sailing like Disney Cruise Line typically does. So these starting price points, again, are specifically for the lowest price room in each category. And here on this ship, each category has a lot more options than the traditional Disney fleet.
And can prices change from day to day once the booking window is
Absolutely.
open?
That is probably one of the only things that you can guarantee will happen, is that pricing will fluctuate. The other thing that will happen is that this booking period does follow the same booking structure as the other ships, where you can place a 3-day hold without a deposit, but then your deposit will be due within 3 days. So you may also see that there is a ton of availability on booking day, and then all of a sudden, after the Pearl and Platinum booking day, the rooms are not available, and then 3 days later, now they are. Right. So, that's a trend that we could see. I don't think we're going to see it as much on the ship, because I think that there's going to be very few people that are debating going. It's like they're definitely going or they're not going. There's not going to be a lot of that. Well, I want to have a room for 3 days to think about. Nobody's thinking about the ship. They're either going or they're not going.
And can you use a placeholder for these sailings? What
You
about
can. Now, they haven't published the list of excluded sailings. Placeholders do have blockout dates on every other ship that is posted, and they have not updated that list to include Adventure at this time. I called earlier today and was told that update is coming. That's just later. It'll be coming later on. So most likely it's going to be the 2 holiday sailings, the maiden voyage, and I mean, maybe, I doubt it, but maybe there are 2 sailings that are over Chinese New Year. But I don't think that would be enough of the ship is so enormous that I don't think that would be, but it's a possibility. If I had to guess anything, those would be the ones that would potentially be blocked out. But as of right now, there are no blackout dates on Adventure listed.
And can you do a hold on concierge rooms,
So
or is
you
it
can.
just
No.
everything
So
else?
a concierge is a little bit different. You cannot do the hold. And then also with concierge, that your deposit amount is different. And you need, if you're going to include insurance, it does need to be paid at time of booking. It cannot be added later on.
Got it. Oh my gosh, yeah, travel insurance with that big of a flight too. That's definitely something to consider.
Yes, definitely. It's
Oh
definitely
my,
something to consider, but it's also something that I would talk with your agent about to decide whether booking through Disney is the right call, or whether booking a third party that will cover your flight is the better call.
yes, yes. So there's definitely not a one size fits all when it comes to travel insurance. So that is such a good point. And I feel like there have been so many great questions. I'm so excited for everybody to get to see this ship. And I'm excited to see it come to life, because I feel like they've
Yeah,
been working on it for so long.
it's real
Um,
now. I know.
yes, yes. And somebody had asked, or was it Joey is asking, does it open at 8 a.m. Singapore time or
Hmm.
Orlando time?
Great question. Yes. So everything is going to be open at 8 a.m. Singapore Standard Time, which is phenomenal for us here in the East Coast of the United States, because that means it's 7 p.m. here right now. So it's
Beautiful.
fantastic. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And you can book online, you
Mhm.
can call to book, I'm assuming, or you can reach out to Crissi and she can help take care of all of that for you. As we know, on booking days, things get crazy.
Yes.
so many people going to the website at once, so many people calling that things get backlogged. So Crissi has a dedicated number and system and everything, so she can help kind of take that stress away from you, and she can just send you your reservation number as soon as she's taking care of it for you. So if you are ready to book your Disney cruise, whether it's on the Adventure or across any of the ships with the Disney Cruise Line fleet, please reach out to her. She is here to help. That is the link to her page on the DCL community site. And again, her planning services are free. All of this wonderfulness is just a snippet of everything that she can help your family with. So let her be that resource again for you and your family. And Crissi, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And remind us one more time when Itinerary is open for this.
Yeah, so general public is December 10th, but Castaway early booking starts December 4th.
Amazing. And general public is anybody who hasn't sailed.
Everybody. It's everybody.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. If you've sailed before within the last 5 years, you can book before then. So, and if you're not sure where to find your Castaway Club status, reach out to Crissi.
Reach out. We'll help you.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out. We will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.